we'll just get right into Justified because I am the only
Justified talking about VH types.
It is. Okay, Justified. One of the segments that I originally wanted to do when we started this podcast, I wanted a segment where we would go through old shows that we really liked and pitch it to people who may not have ever seen it.
I love that idea.
This is the perfect opportunity for me to pitch to you. If you love any type of, it's crime noir, it's Western in a way. It takes place in small town America. It is both tropey and disrespectful while also being simultaneously not disrespectful to the cultures there, because the people they're showing that they're showing you are all ultimately bad people. So when they play on these tropes of like small town people being dumb and they kind of all act awful, it's because they're bad guys, right? The good guys aren't portrayed that way. But this is a show called Justified, and it is getting relaunched. It's based on a book series by Elmore Leonard, about a character named Raylan Givens. He's a U.S. Marshal, and he gets sent back to his old hometown of Harlan, and he has to be a U.S. Marshal in this small town because he gets in trouble for shooting a bad guy well, it is provoked. Like, he couldn't tell that the guy had a gun, but then he's a maverick. Remember I mentioned maverick cops earlier? He's a maverick U.S. Marshal in a town with increasing crime. And it really is about the people who are looking to they're looking for the fast way out of their problems. Yeah. And it's always the something for nothing schemes, but there's something so damn lovable about every single one of them. It has one of the deepest benches of characters you will, at least as far as actors, that you will ever see. Timothy Olyphant plays Raylan Givens. Nick Searcy plays his boss. Now Nick Searcy is kind of what would be the term? Nick Searcy is might be a little bit. He's very MAGA. Let's just say that Nick Searcy is very MAGA in today's current year. So he's making movies with Gina Carano right now for the Daily Wire.
Oh, wow.
Yes. He plays Art Mullen. That's his head director. Joelle Carter as Ava Crowder. Jacob Pitts as Tim Gutterson. And Erica Tazell as Rachel Brooks. Erica Tazell and Tim and Jacob Pitts are probably the two most underused characters in the whole show. They're U.S. Marshals as well. But Olyphant is such a standout actor, and he's the star of the show that he gets most of the play. The other is Walton Goggins as Boyd Crowder. If you want to see a masterclass in how to play a lovably bad but charismatic villain, look up clips of him in this show. And Natalie Z as Winona Hawkins. She's from the first few seasons, and then she appears at the end. One of the best actresses working today, Jerry Burns, who is a comedian mostly, but does this. And I don't know how to pitch it in a way that does the show justice.
Well, you can say, so the actor who plays like the main character, you can say the actor that brought you Raising Hope is in this movie, but he's grittier.
Yeah, well, it's Timothy Olyphant was also in Deadwood, and Deadwood is a lot of people. That's maybe many people's favorite modern Western drama. I mean,
really?
It's not. It doesn't take place in modern times, but it was created in modern. So he fits this role very well. And this is
this a genre you're normally interested in?
I mean, all crime shows interest me, but this one's more outside the spectrum of you don't see a lot of shows taking place in Kentucky.
Yeah,
you just don't, and you both feel like you're there. I believe it was filmed in Atlanta, so it's filmed in Georgia, so it covers for it fairly well.
Yeah,
but you feel the hope, like when we talk about the opioid crisis and the hopelessness that comes with that. You feel it. But you feel a sense of hope as these people do awful things, as the series bad guys go about their harebrained schemes, and he has to, deal with the increasing violence, the increasing crime. He's getting into trouble because he doesn't follow rules, and he takes matters into his own hands. And it's writing that I don't think if the writing for the reboot can be a quarter as good as the writing was in the original show, it will be leagues ahead of most of what you're seeing on TV today.
Wow. That's like a high standard to hit there.
And this is all personal taste in your genres. And if this show didn't have Timothy Olyphant as Raylan Givens or Walton Goggins as Boyd Crowder, it would have fallen flat very, very fast, even with the good writing. It's the delivery from both of those characters. It's the accent that both of them put on in this. I kid you not, Walton Goggins, his character of Boyd Crowder, he was originally supposed to be just a couple episodes in season 1 and becomes a regular through the end of the season. He plays he goes to jail for blowing stuff up, and he pretends to be he's like a criminal, right? But he's like, I'm gonna be with the white supremacists, but it's really just because he wants to blow things up and commit crimes. I'm going to be a preacher because he just wants to get people to follow him. He wears all these hats, and one of the things I'm worried about more than anything is that they're gonna make the stuff about race and racism a huge part of it, because it's the new season, just like Dexter took place in a new place for New Blood. The new one is going to take place in Detroit.
Oh,
that is a problem. That is I don't want to see. Whereas
why?
Because I believe that the environment and the locations and the characters and the habits of the characters that were representative of Kentucky, I believe that was as much of a character on that show as any other actual human character. So the type of people that they're portraying, meaning Southern folk, it's the locations.
Well, it's Southern impoverished people. Is what I'm assuming.
Exactly.
So part of that, what's interesting though, is to pick Detroit is that there is a lot of poverty.
But it's going to be a different type. So
right, and I think in some ways that could destroy the show, which is probably what you're afraid of, or it could be really interesting because of the fact that they have mastered being able to do that. Well, they might be able to take on a challenge they can manage. I
guess perhaps my worry is that the writing was so consistent for those 6 seasons of characters in that world that I'm worried that if he doesn't nail it for those characters in Detroit, then the rest of the show falls victim to it, right? Okay. So it could work as a fish out of water story, as Raylan Givens he's got his Southern accent and he's very slow. He moves very slow and deliberately. He's a man with a code. Maybe that works.
Men with code. That's the theme of this episode today.
It does seem that way, right? So maybe it works. I'm worried that they won't bring, it depends on if they bring those other characters back. Like, if they don't get Walton Goggins back as Boyd Crowder, and I've never read the Elmore Leonard story that this is based on, so I don't know if that character plays a role in there. I don't know how relevant that is. I don't know how much of that character was in the books as opposed to what became so important in the television show. But if you're looking for something that is beautifully apolitical from the early 2000s, from 2010 to 2015, that has really, really smart writing, really, really lived in feel to its characters, as far as and I only listed you main cast, the amount of people that it, most of the characters get 20-30 episodes, just guest characters. Yeah. So when I say lived in, I actually mean that, meaning that it feels like one living, breathing world.
That's
right?
So cool.
All these, I'm down here, I'm 20 characters down. Caitlin Deaver plays Loretta McCready. She was in 17 episodes from 2011 to 2015. So you see these characters, they come back. You see them for a little bit each episode. They've got their stuff going on. The stories are wrapped up,
It's more realistic of a community.
Exactly. So the question is, do they do the same thing for whatever miniseries they do for, down the line for the show? I'm going down the line. It takes half a page before you get to anybody who's even in under 10 episodes.
Wow.
So actresses Margot Martindale, really, really good. Sam Elliott, everyone loves.
I love Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott plays Avery Markham. And a lot of these characters came on, I believe if I remember correctly, Sam Elliott came on because he loved the show. And he's like, can you write a... Can you write a role for me? I could be misremembering that. But Alicia Witt, Kevin Rankin, all these actors that would be major guest stars in other shows just live in the series, and it's beautiful. So
when does it come out?
This was just announced, so it's going to be a while before we get it. But I guess if they bring back the old cast, it would be cool for them to take Erica Tizell's character or Robbie Pitt's character and use them better. I doubt they get. I don't know if they get Art back. I don't know if Nick Searcy would be back for this. That would be cool if he was. But it is absolutely something that if you guys are looking for something to pass the time with until that show comes out, go and watch the original Justified. I think it's absolutely worth it. But I've got the article here. I just want to read a little bit about what they've got saying here so that we don't just go on without it. It says, a revival of Justified has been ordered to series at FX, which is the original producer. That's heartening as well that it's the original network that did it. Timothy Olyphant set to reprise his role as U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens. Variety exclusively reported the project was in the works in March 2021. The new iteration of the drama is inspired by Elmore Leonard's novel City Primeval, High Noon in Detroit. So it's based on a very specific story. Leonard created the character of Givens, who appeared in several of the author's novels and the novella Fire in the Hole. That's the TV show is based off the novella Fire in the Hole. Officially titled Justified City Primeval, the new show picks up with Givens 8 years after he left Kentucky behind. He now lives in Miami, walking anachronism, balancing his life as U.S. Marshal and part-time father of a 14-year-old girl. His hair is grayer, his hat is dirtier, and the road in front of him suddenly a lot shorter than the road behind. A chance encounter on a desolate Florida highway sends him to Detroit. There he crosses paths with Clement Mansell, a.k.a. the Oklahoma Wildman, a violent sociopathic desperado who's already slipped through the fingers of Detroit's finest once and aims to do so again. Mansell's lawyer, formidable Motor City native Carolyn Wilder, has every intention of representing her client, even as she finds herself caught in between cop and criminal with her own game afoot as well. That is classic to this story. Joelle Carter her character of Ava Crowder was caught between Raylan and Boyd. Natalie Z's character was married to... These are very fit really well within the context of Elmore Leonard's writing and Graham Yost's adaptation. So it says, David Andron and Michael Dinner will serve as writer and showrunner, executive producer of the new series with Dinner directing. That's troublesome if it's not Graham. If it's not Graham Yost, I have questions, but we will see. With Dinner directing, Olyphant will executive produce. That doesn't really matter. That's just me. Creator Graham Yost executive produces along with Sarah Timberman and Carl Beverly. So, I mean, Graham Yost is involved, but he's not in it doesn't look like he's in a creative role. Good Justified was one of the most critically acclaimed shows of the past decade, and is an adaptation of Elmore Leonard's work that is so colorfully brought to life by Olyphant as Raylan Givens, Graham Yost, and the entire team of producers, writers, directors, and cast. If I believe correctly, they I don't want to quote on something that I'm let me see if I can find it here. I'm gonna aside here temporarily. But I'll finish this and then I'll go back to it. When Justified concluded, the love and affection for this exceptional series only grew and left audiences craving more Raylan Givens. It had one of the best ending scenes you'll ever see in a TV show. You kind of have to have you have to see it the whole way through to appreciate it. But if you want to see an ending, like even out of context of what happens, just to see these two it's I'll show it. Maybe I'll show it to you later. And just so you can get a feel for like what these characters sound like.
Yeah.
This now marks the second time that Olyphant has returned to a lawman character in the past few years. He came back to Deadwood. They made a Deadwood movie a couple of years, 2 years ago on HBO. So he's coming back to these characters because he's probably sick of people saying, when are you going to play this character again? So I just really think that if people are looking for a good show, watch this and then watch out for the remake once they do that, or the adaptation once they do that, because it will be very, very good.
Cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. Does that seem like, does Western anything interest you?
Westworld was really interesting to me.
That's sci-fi too.
Well, for me, I feel like when I was younger, I liked Western comedies. But other than that, I wasn't really interested in it because I got more into like medieval times instead. Or like dark fantasies.
I think period, like TV shows or period pieces are interesting. And I think Western hasn't been explored enough because we think of it as too close to our own experience. Because it's like Americana.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for any Westerns or Western hybrids.
So it says Walton Goggins, who was born in Alabama and grew up in Georgia, originally declined the role of Boyd Crowder out of concern that the show would perpetuate negative stereotypes of Southerners as one-dimensional hillbillies and rednecks. He changed his mind and did the pilot as a favor to Timothy Olyphant, who he knew through friends. It was supposed to be one episode only. Boyd Crowder originally died in the original pilot script, as he did in the novel, and the novel of Fire in the Hole that he was based on. But they reshot that ending scene because his character was so magnetic, and they brought him back as a regular character through the whole thing. Like I said, the portrayals of these characters are the farthest thing from one-dimensional in an age where writing seems to be extremely one-dimensional for television characters. For
I
movie
feel like
characters.
it's always a good sign when like a character or an actor does something so well, they're like, no, we can't let you go.
Exactly.
So it says some actors have said that the working environment on the show is very different from other shows because writers were really open to suggestions from the cast, even while shooting scenes, to the point where they would stop shooting a scene, sit around and discuss it, and see if there was room for improvement. That's almost unheard of in that industry because it has to work on such a tight schedule that they don't really usually have time to do that. So. Yes. So, guys, I really do recommend that. At the very least, if you don't have any interest in going to see watching the new version, I think that everyone would benefit from watching the actual the original show, Justified, and it is on either Hulu or Amazon Prime.
Cool.
So
You'll just find it.
Yes, you will find it. Well, actually, we could probably just look that up right now. Usually, it says on there where it's available.
Ow, my throat.
The problem is, like, I'm so used to the app. Oh, it's on Hulu.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.